Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Our host tonight served 8 years in the Navy as a journalist before becoming a crime reporter covering 9 police agencies. He is a medical marijuana patient, William Lopez.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I want to go ahead and thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. Is my volume okay? Am I good? I tend to talk kind of loud, so probably stay away from that mic right there.
Okay, well, try using it without.
Thank you. Mom, try not interrupting me while we're live. Folks at home, thank you for joining us. I have been told actually that camera's not even on. It's just trying to make fun of me. I have been told actually that the camera we have tonight is so good it's going to appear as if I'm already beginning to ball. It's not true. Folks in the audience. Now, let's begin. And where we'll begin is in 1619. The British have ordered that Jamestown colonists grow hemp in order to satisfy Britain's constant demand for maritime roads. However, in time, New England will develop an entire industry built around hemp, which will include clothing Revolutionary soldiers, let me rephrase that, clothing American soldiers during the Revolutionary War. Phrasing, it means everything. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson both grew hemp. They even, for lack of a better word, puzzled over the various ways that it could be processed and used. Jefferson would even go on to invent a hemp processing machine in 1815. Now, let me assure you folks that you are not here for a history lesson, but I believe that to know why you are truly here tonight, you have to know a little bit about how we got here in the first place. Now, we're going to skip ahead. We're going to go to the 1880s, okay? Now, there's a lot happening here. The Industrial Revolution is in full swing. Railroads are beginning to crisscross the nation. Slavery has been abolished. The Civil War has ended. However, it is still very much fresh in the mind of most Americans, for reasons that many of us learned in history class. But there's one that never seems to be taught. The massive amounts of grievously wounded soldiers during the war or after the war created a new type of epidemic. Large amounts of drug-related deaths due to hospitals overprescribing opiates to veterans. Now, you got to keep in mind, this is the late 1880s, okay? So everything is considered some type of medicine. All right, you got tobacco, alcohol, methamphetamines, cannabis. Even dumping warm urine into your ear was actually considered a genuine medicine effect. I mean, when you really think about it, just sitting there. You know what, Mom? I don't want to visit Grandma no more. And if I do, I kind of need to change the clothes and a towel. Sigmund Freud. He wrote several papers and self-prescribed himself medicinal coke, not the soda. Okay? That's actually why he was so interested in everybody else's dreams. The dude never slept. All right? So, sorry for being so loud right there, actually. That's I think a military trait. It's called needlessly shouting. Forgive me. So, when the deaths of all these veterans finally becomes a public concern, Congress passes the Pure Food and Drug Act in 1906. This begins the regulation of opiates and other medicines, which included marijuana. Once again, let's jump ahead. Let's go to 1933. For the most part, marijuana is known to mostly be smoked in jazz clubs. Well, what little bit Americans do know about marijuana comes from the few news articles published in the newspapers about the Mexican drug cartels and all the violence associated with that. Okay? But this is about to change. Okay? This is about to change because reefer madness is about to sweep the nation. All right? We're in 1933. Alcohol prohibition has ended. The head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, Harry Anslinger, is publicly promoting and exaggerating wild claims of marijuana and marijuana-related crimes, I apologize. He even said, and I quote, and this is a fairly famous quote, "No one knows when he places a marijuana cigarette to his lips whether he will become a philosopher, a joyous reveler in a musical heaven, a mad incident, or a murderer." Propaganda films. Propaganda films. These films begin to instill fear into the population, showing them how marijuana changes people into monsters. It makes you go insane. Boys become rebels. Girls promiscuous. Men become violent. Women want their own opinions. It's 1930s. We can't have any of this. So you know what we need to do? We need to move ahead a little bit. We need to move ahead. And I think maybe it's time for us to slow things down a bit. Maybe come to a standstill for a moment. Let's go to the 1970s. It's the early 70s right now, man. Everything's groovy. Everything's groovy. The hippies are here. Let me tell you something about the hippies. Oh, sorry about that. Good? Okay. I didn't want to imaginarily burn you with my imaginary joint. Especially the one from the 70s. It'd be kind of weird. Sorry. What the hippies do. What the hippies do that actually turns out to be quite beneficial is they are the first ones to begin exposing all the false claims made about marijuana from the government and the newspapers and the media. Okay? However, at the same time, parents were becoming rightly concerned about the widespread drug use amongst their children. This was basically the final nail needed to cement the idea of the already proposed argument back in the 1950s that marijuana is a gateway drug. Which honestly, if we're going to go down that line of thought, that's exactly how orange juice became my gateway to vodka. Makes about as much sense. But we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Let's go by a few more years. Let's go by a few more years. Nancy Reagan says those infamous words that we all know to this day. You just say no. Everyone knows it, right? Just say no. What do you do if someone offers you drugs? What do you do? Just say no. Just say no. Because that is right. We don't want you to think for a moment. Don't ask questions. Don't look into the facts or data that's currently available. Don't ask why is this data not available when maybe it should be. Don't make decisions for yourselves, little children. If we tell you something is a drug, regardless of reasoning, just go ahead and believe us, and remember to just say no. Well, what happens with that type of mindset? What happens when a few decades go by and California legalizes medicinal marijuana in 1996, with our beloved Oregon to follow 2 years later, both with thousands claiming that marijuana is safer and more effective than many traditional pharmaceuticals. What happens is you end up in a situation like the one we're in now. The situation where individuals are sick, hurting, struggling, and suffering, all because access to their medicine is being restricted. Or, as is the case with Malheur County, hindered to the point of near deniability for most patients. You know, it really doesn't take too much to understand. All you really have to do is truly ask around in your communities. Truly look around in your communities. And if you do this, I promise you, you will find two things. One, you will find that there are far more people than you ever thought possible already relying on marijuana to treat their medical ailments with or without a card. Because I have spent the past 3 weeks talking to many patients and patients who are too afraid to even go down and get a card. You will find grandmothers using cannabis-infused tinctures and oils to treat their arthritis. If you ask around enough, I promise you, you will find cancer patients using Simpson oil and various strains to not only treat their nausea and their pain, but to attack the cancer itself. You may find children suffering from seizures. Medical marijuana medicine, carefully administered by parents the exact same way parents administer medicine, traditional pharmaceutical medicine, to their children right now. And what they do is it combats them, it helps them live their lives of these life-crippling, sometimes life-ending ailments. To be honest, I don't know what all you find if you truly look. What I do know is that if you really ask, if you truly pay attention, you will find more than you need to believe. The second thing I can promise is that while you're doing this, you will find all the people who are already using medical marijuana to treat their various ailments. You will also find mothers, grandparents, uncles, parents, cousins, every single type of human being imaginable suffering from those exact same ailments, and often not even aware that medical marijuana may be a complement to their current treatments. It may, in fact, help them live out more comfortable, more pain-free lives. I promise. I mean, I got a good memory, but come on. Despite the stereotypes, my memory's not too bad. Talk to enough people, and you will notice a clear distinction between the two groups. That distinction will be on the quality of life from each one. And you will notice clearly which side is faring better. Now, I am not just saying this based off of nothing or something I just read off the internet, even though we all know if it's all online, it's true. But I am saying this based off of my own observations. I am saying this based off of the observations, experience, and knowledge and education of every single individual that you are going to hear from tonight. I myself am an example of what it's like to go from treating a serious, painful ailment with traditional pharmaceuticals and marijuana. Every single individual that you're going to hear from tonight has either experienced that or loved somebody who has. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you watching us online, my name is William Lopez, and I am a medical marijuana patient, as previously stated. Tonight, you're going to hear from not only other patients, but their loved ones as well. A physician, or a doctor, I apologize, is going to explain the endocannabinoid system and provide information about medical marijuana from a professional medical point of view. There will be a question and answer panel where folks at home or folks watching at home can send in their questions, and of course, as is our style usually, we will be raffling off several items. Now, if I may introduce you to our first speaker tonight. Let me have a drink of my water real fast before I start talking like Jim Carrey in that one crazy schizophrenia movie. I can't remember what it was called, but it was hilarious. Me, Myself, and Irene. The Science of Cannabinoids and Endocannabinoid System. This is by Dr. Jeremy Riggle. He is the Assistant Professor of Chemistry, Department of Chemistry at Biochemistry, Eastern Oregon University. I'm glad I didn't have to remember that title. Dr. Riggle, please.
We gotta wait a sec to get things
No,
straight.
I'll just set it up here while you're doing that. Just so you know what it is.
His presentation. His presentation.
No, the microphone. You took it off.
So that's just gonna shine up here behind you.